Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final episode of Hornet Sports Network. It's been a long journey. I think we started in January. Of course, this podcast has been going on since about 2020. So I just want to say thanks to everybody who has listened and who has downloaded. We really do thank you for your support. This will be the final episode with the whole gang together. And for this final episode, I thought it would only be right to interview the person who has made this all possible, Mr. Bryant Stockton. He is our teacher who has allowed us to be able to have this opportunity to talk to y'all and about sports and educate about sports. So we're really thankful to him. And I think it'd only be right if we interviewed him, as he will be retiring after 20-some years of teaching, maybe 30. I'm sure it's in that area. Former coach, track coach right now, member of the KySportsGuys, so he has experience in broadcasting. So he's kind of like our mentor. So we're going to go ahead and play this interview right now. Hello, everybody, and welcome into a special edition of Hornet Sports Network. Today we're here with Bryant Stockton, our teacher, who is going to be retiring at the end of this year. So we thought it would be appropriate to interview him because we haven't yet.
What's taking you so long?
I don't know. What's my first question is going to be, what's your favorite memory from your teaching career?
Man, 27 years of memories. That's hard to pick out. I can go back to the first time I came into my classroom back in 1998. I've been so used to saying 2000 something. It's hard to say 1990 something. 1998, I remember getting the classroom ready, getting all my folders and papers run off, and thinking in my head, I counted down 27 years, or counted up 27 years to 2025, and it sounded like a made-up year. Didn't even sound like it could be a real thing, because in the 1990 sounded right, 1998 sounded right, but 2025 sounded fake. And now here we are. That's one of my earliest memories, and then just a lot of stuff. I mean, it would take forever, but had some really funny things, some not so great things, but along the line, most of it's been pleasant, and most of it's been really, really excellent. And I won't look back with bad memories as I sit and think about things that have happened. I'll consider myself lucky to have been here for 27 years, same place, same room most of the time, and getting to know a whole lot of people in Metcalfe County who are now, your parents' age, some of them, and maybe even older than that. I mean, I've known a lot of people everywhere I go. I see people I've had in school, and that's really cool.
Yeah, so I know you played sports in high school. Yeah.
Played basketball. We had a lot of options in the early 90s in Clinton County. There was basketball in the fall. There was baseball, and then that was it.
Yeah.
So
and
I did play baseball.
I know. Was your plan to be a coach?
No, never really planned to be a coach at all.
So I know you're a track coach now.
Mm-hmm.
Did you coach any prior teams besides the track?
Yeah, when you first get a job teaching, especially back in the day when a lot of people used to go into teaching, fewer do now, so jobs are a little easier to come by. But when I first started, when you got a job, you would sometimes volunteer to take on other responsibilities to help keep that job or to even land the job. So I think my first year here, going into my second, our principal, Mr. Elliott, came by and said, he's very, very soft-spoken unless you made him mad. He was like, Coach Harbison, this was Coach Larry Harbison. Coach Harbison's going to need a couple of guys to help him coach football next year. He said, I think you should do it. And I said, I've watched football my whole career, but we didn't have football in Clinton County. I've never played. I didn't have the opportunity to. But I love football, but I don't know anything about coaching football. He says, it'll be all right. You'll learn. And, I learned a lot about football that I still apply today when I do the announcing and the color commentary for the Hornets.
So how long did you coach?
3 years.
3 years.
We were. It was some lean years.
So would that have been from what 99 to
the 99 team, the 2000 team, and the 2001 team.
So you missed the 02 team.
The 03 team
Yeah.
was seniors, so they were freshmen.
Yeah.
My second year. My first year, we had 2 seniors. One got all the way through the year. Last game, this is a memory. Last game of the year, we played Danville, who went on to win. I think had won the state that year before and went on to win it maybe again. They came here. They had a guy going to UK to play O-line, and they didn't even play him because they didn't want somebody rolling up on him or something. We had 13 guys. Coach Larry kept it together, and I think a lot of credit when you get a chance ever to thank Coach Larry for keeping this program afloat.
Yeah.
Because those were lean years, not only in wins, because we were 0-10 that year, but just lean years in participation. Mm-hmm. And getting through a year or two of that led to what we see now. And then those many good years and great years in Coach Freddie and Coach LJ, and then ultimately next year getting to play in this crazy beautiful stadium out here behind the school.
Yeah, so I'm guessing you did coach LJ.
LJ, yeah, he was he would play practice some and do scrimmages and stuff with us. I still remember him. I think as a 7th or 8th grader in a scrimmage, laying a hit on a guy going across the middle. He was always a freak, And then I was out. His junior year, I was doing the year we went to the 03 year. I was actually running clock that year, though. I did come back and do clock. And we went over to watch the Mayfield game, and Coach L, who had hurt himself in preseason, goes to the Mayfield game, and they put him in at tailback, and he threw a tailback pass. And it was caught in the end zone, but out of bounds by about a foot, maybe a foot or less.
Did you ever dream that LJ would be the head coach?
I think it's a pretty big tradition. I mean, the last 3 head coaches have been Harbison. So, that's not shocking. The fact that he's probably had plenty of opportunities, and the fact that he wants to stay centered here, I think that's pretty impressive. And don't forget Coach Freddie. I learned a lot from Coach Freddie because I assisted with him for a while, and he's very laid back. So I learned a demeanor from him, and just learned a lot about football from all 3 of those guys. Especially, I obviously didn't coach with LJ, but from Larry and Freddie, learned a lot.
Yeah, Larry's not a little bit laid back.
No, he's a little more intense.
They're like opposites.
Very much.
But I guess that worked together whenever they did coach together.
Definitely, yeah.
So what if you had a regret while you was teaching, what would that be?
A regret while I was teaching?
Yeah.
This will be ironic, and I'll tell you this story. It's Dr. Bunch nominated me for Teacher of the Year. Dr. Bunch had me as a sophomore. And I think one of my regrets is the Julius Caesar test that made its way into his speech about me, because he takes it and he enjoys telling that story. And it was a very tough test. It was probably too tough because the principal at the time had said my tests weren't tough enough. So I sort of over-toughed the next one. And honestly, I let that sort of affect the way I did things, and I wish I hadn't have. It was a tough test, and I think it was a fair enough test, but it was probably tougher than it should have been. Everybody got through it. Dr. Bunch still credits it for teaching him something. So maybe it's just not my personality, though, to give that kind of test. Yeah. And I guess that's probably my regret is not staying true to who I was at the time because I was getting pressure from the top. Not here now, by the way, that principal. He was a good guy, but he was that was a day where I just felt like I was sort of being singled out, and so I made the test really, really, really difficult.
So what made you be an English teacher?
I was going into advertising to begin with, and then journalism. So all forms. I've always been someone who likes to write.
Yeah.
The reading came later. I was more of a TV guy, but always liked writing. Always liked writing, trying to, I don't know, whatever, poems, songs. I tried to write songs before I could do music. I did a ton of top 10 lists, like David Letterman top 10 lists when I was in high school, try to be funny, wrote stories. Always took pride in the creative side of things. So when it came time to be a journalist, I saw that really wasn't the creative thing, and I didn't want to do that. So I was thinking, where could I still use this creativity and have something steady as a job? Plus, I've always found that I was pretty good with working with people. So I thought those two things go together, and here I am.
You've called probably hundreds of Metcalfe County sports games.
Yeah, between football and basketball, I would say, yeah.
What is the greatest call you've had?
So I do color commentary for football and for boys basketball. But I do the girls basketball play-by-play. And that started because Coach Hurt was coaching at the time. Yeah. So he couldn't do it. Always been impressed by the way that he could come up and do play-by-play for boys after a tough loss, especially in the girls' game. I don't know. To me, there's been so many good calls, including getting to call a lot of 1,000 or 2,000 point scores. Man, a ton of championships, district championships, all-A championships, things like that. But I don't know. The McKinley Crane basket, when I look back on it, I think that is an exceptional moment because McKinley came back from fighting cancer, got to play, got to score a basket, and that was, I think, my first year too. So that, to me, it maybe the greatest thing I got to call just because of the enormity of it all.
I got one more question, and it's kind of random.
Okay, love random questions.
What's your favorite TV show and why?
Grew up watching MASH, and MASH would be one of my very favorite TV shows. Would have been my favorite forever at the time, and I love what it did. It taught me so much. You know, I told you earlier that I didn't really read as much as I probably should have as an English major, especially growing up. But I learned a whole lot from the TV show MASH because it took elements of comedy, elements of drama, and thought it had good morals. It taught some good ethics and things like that. So I think I learned how to be a pretty nice person from that, at least partly. But, you know, the 90s came along, and as I watched more in the 90s, Seinfeld became a show that I can barely go a day without referencing something from Seinfeld. So if you're ever around two people who know Seinfeld, that's all you're going to hear is references to Seinfeld. And when you're not around two people, and you're just around one like me, and I make a reference, I have to explain the whole darn show to you at that point. So then it gets a little bit pedantic and boring. But I think Seinfeld right now would be my favorite show, even though I really haven't watched much TV lately. I've been doing a little more reading, going back to the prior thing, kind of going full circle. Well,
I want to say thank you for this opportunity to let us record
you're welcome.
Have our own show. I'm sure everybody in the class is really appreciative of you. I just want to say thank you, and thank you for your time.
Hey, you're welcome, man. Y'all have done a great job this year, and I appreciate y'all having me on.
Thanks.